welcome back to another Argus ASMR video. So, what I thought we'd do today is a little bit of reading. I've got this book, Medieval English Verse. It's a Penguin's classic, The Cheapest Chips. It was originally written in, originally published in 1964, so it's older than me by quite a long way. I'm so youthful and spry. It's got a nice heft to it. It's very dainty. But anyway, I want to read you Sir Orfeo. So we'll see how this goes. There might be some cuts where I mess up the words. But you won't know that because I'll do some nice editing. So, shall we begin? I think we should. Sir Orfeo. We often read and find set down what scholars tell us of the lays, that those for harp of most renown and tell of themes of highest praise. Of weal or woe these lays may tell, of jollity or joy as well, some treachery, some of guile, and chance events that once befell. Some are jests, some ribald tales, and some there are of fairyland, but of all things that men may see, mostly of love in truth they be. These lays belong to Brittany, but they are composed and after written of famous deeds of olden days. Of these the Bretons made their lays. If ever to their ear there came accounts of any deed of fame, they spiritedly took their harps, made song of it and gave it a name. Of mighty deeds that once befell, not all of them, but some I know. Listen, sirs, and I shall tell, and sing the lay, Sir Orfeo. Sir Orfeo was a king of might in England and a noble lord, bold and valiant in the fight, a generous and courteous knight. His father came of Pluto's line, his mother of Juno's, both divine, or so men called them for a time, for feats they did, much spoken of. For Orfeo, above all things, the art of harping had his love, and all good harpers were assured of honoured welcome from that lord. He loved to play the harp himself, and with devoted mind and grace, so studied that his harper's art was not surpassed in any place. Never a man was born on earth who sat before Sir Orfeo, listening to the music's flow, but thought he was in paradise, delighting in eternity. His harping made such melody. This king held sway in Thracians, a city nobly fortified, that Winchester then had the name of Thracians is not denied. The king possessed a queen of fame, the lady Hurides her name. Of all the women of flesh and blood, not one could be as fair and good, and full of love, none could express in words her perfect loveliness. It so befell in early May, when warm and merry is the day, and gone are all the winter's showers, and every field is full of flowers, and glorious blossoms gay and fair put forth on branches everywhere, that this same lady Hurides and two fair maids one morning tide went out to play in happiness at a pretty orchard side. To see the flowers spread in spring, and to hear the songbirds sing. There they sat them down all three, beneath a lovely orchard tree, and straightway this comely queen fell asleep upon the green. The maidens dared not break her sleep, but let her lie in slumber deep. So she slept till afternoon, when morning tide was wholly gone. Soon as she awoke she cried, and fearful clamour filled the place. She wrung her hands and thrashed her feet, and blood ran where she scratched her face. Her sumptuous robe she tore in rents, deranged, distracted in her sense. The maidens dared no longer stay beside the queen, but took their flight, and at the palace straightway they cried aloud to squire and knight that Hurides was mad or ill, and told them they must hold her still. Then out went knights and ladies too, 60 maids in retinue, and coming to the orchard found the queen, and raised her from the ground, brought her home to bed at last, and there restrained her, held her fast. But still she cried in great dismay, and tried to rise and run away. When Orfeo heard, it grieved him more than any other thing before. To the chamber of 10 knights he went, and there he looked upon his wife, and spoke in pitiful lament. What ails you, my beloved life, that you, ever so calm and still, now cry aloud in accents shrill? Your body white and excellent is by your nails all torn and rent. Alas, your hue of rosy red is wan as if my queen is dead. And then besides, your fingers small are pale and bloody one and all. Alas, your loving eyes now show as those of one who sees his foe. Ah, Lady, mercy, pity me, and cease these cries of misery. What ails you, and whence it came? How can cure be found to help you now? Then all quiet she lay at last, and as she wept, her tears fell fast. And to the king she said these words, Alas, Sir Orfeo, my lord, since we came together first, we never crossed each other in strife. I have loved you as my life, always, just as you loved me. But now our lives must separate be. Fare you well, for I must go. Alas, said he, you seal my doom. Where will you go, and then to whom? Wherever you go, there I shall go, and where I go, there you shall go. No, no, sir, that cannot be so. Now let me, leaving nothing out, tell you how it came about. As I lay this morning tide, sleeping by our orchard side, there came to me a troop of knights, fine to see and armed to rights, who told me to come hurrying to this audience with their lord the king. To this I boldly answered no, I neither dared nor wished to go, so back they spurred with utmost speed, and then their king came straight away, with a host on snow-white steeds, and at least 100 knights or more, and damsels too, above 50. Their lovely clothes were milky white, and never yet there struck my sight, being so excellently bright. The crown the king wore on his head, not silver nor gold that glitters red, but it was of a precious stone, and brightly like the sun it shone. The moment that he came to me, he seized me irresistibly, and force perforce he made me ride upon a palfrey at his side, and took me to his citadel, a palace equipped and furnished well, and showed me castles there and towers, rivers, forests, woods with flowers, and all the wealth of his domain. And then he brought me home again, and in our orchard said to me, See, lady, that tomorrow you be here beneath this orchard tree, for then you must come back with me and live with us eternally. If you resist in any degree, you shall be fetched wherever you are, and limb from limb be torn apart till you are past all helping cure. Though torn apart, yet still be sure you shall be fetched away by us. When Orfeo heard this matter thus, he cried, Alas and woe, alas! Better it were I lost my life than so to lose the queen my wife. He asked advice of every man, but help King Orfeo no man can. The morrow morning being come, Orfeo quickly grasped his arms, and took 100 knights with him, each stalwart, stoutly armed, and grim, and with Queen Eurydice went he, right to that same orchard tree. They made a wall of shields all around, and swore that they would hold that ground, and die to a man that very day, before the queen were fetched away. But all the same, from in their midst, the queen was spirited away by magic. None could know or say what became of her that day. Then they cried and wept their woes. The king into his chamber goes, and swoons upon the floor of stone, lamenting with such grief and moan that in him life was almost spent. But all this brought no betterment. He called his nobles to the hall, earls and barons, famous all, and when they were assembled there, My lords, he said, before you hear, my high king steward I designate to rule my kingdom from this date. In my place he shall remain to govern my entire domain. For now that I've lost my queen, the fairest lady ever seen, I'll never look on woman more, but to the wilderness I'll go, and with the wild beasts evermore, I'll dwell in forests stark and hoar. And when you hear my life is spent, summon together a parliament, and then elect yourselves a king, and do your best in everything. Then there was weeping in the hall, and mighty outcry from them all. Scarcely could the old or young for grief give utterance with tongue. Then down upon their knees they fell, and begged him, if it were his will, to stay with them and not to go. Have done it, said he. it shall be so. He left his kingdom and was gone, with only a pilgrim's mantle on. All other clothing he forsook, no kirtle, hood, or shirt he took, but yet he had his harp and straight, barefoot, left the city gate. With him then no man might go. Alas, what tears there were and woe, when he that had been king with crown went so poorly out of town. Through wood and over heath and down, into the wilderness he went. Nothing he found to bring content, but ever lived in languishment. Once grey and varied furs he wore, had purple linen on his bed. Now he lies on the rugged moor, with leaves and grass upon him spread. He, once the lord of castles, towers, rivers, forests with flowers, now, when come the snow and frost, must make his royal bed of moss. He who had most noble knights and ladies before him kneeling down, only looks on loathsome sights. Fishes, snakes writhe on the ground. He who lived a life of plenty, with meat and drink and every dainty, must dig the earth and work all day before he find his fill of roots. In summer he lives on wild fruits, and berries little good to him. In winter nothing can he find but grasses, roots, bark, and rind. These rigours were so cruel and hard, his body was all thin and scarred. Lord, who could paint the suffering through 10 long years of this poor king? All black and shaggy his beard had grown, and to his girdle place hung down his harp, in which lay all his glee, he hid within a hollow tree. But when the sky was clear and bright, he went and took it instantly, and harped on it for pure delight. Throughout the woods the music thrilled, and all the beasts of forest field, for very joy came round him there, and all the birds that ever were came and sat on branches near, to hear his harping to the end. The sound so sweetly filled the air, but when his tuneful harping ceased, beside him stayed no bird or beast. On burning mornings often there he saw the king of fairyland, hunting round him with his band, with dim crying and blowing sounds, amid the baying of the hounds. They caught no prey, nor could he tell what afterwards to them befell. At other times before his eye a mighty multitude went by, 10 well accoutred knights, each equipped and armed to rights, fierce of face and bold in manner, displaying many a splendid banner, and each his naked sword was showing. He never knew where they were going. At other time came other sights, came dancing ladies, dancing knights, elegant in poise and dress, with skilful steps and quiet grace. To trumpet sound and tabor beat, all manner of music moved their feet. And then he saw, one certain day, 60 ladies riding by, as blithe and fair as birds on spray, with not a man in all their band. Each bore a falcon on her hand, and hawking rode beside the river, which many game birds made their haunt, mallard, heron, cormorant. And when they from the water rise, the falcons mark them with their eyes, and each one strikes his victim dead. Orfeo watched, and laughing said, "By my faith, most pleasant game, I shall join them in God's name. Such things I knew in former days." He rises, thither makes his way, but then a lady meets his gaze. He clearly understands and sees by every token that she is his queen, Lady Eurydice. He looks on her, and she on him, in longing, but no word is said. And when she saw the wretched state of him who had been rich and great, the tears came falling from her eyes. This the other ladies saw, and forced the queen to ride away, and she could stay with him no more. "Alas, my sadness now," he said, "why will not death now strike me dead? Alas, how miserable am I, to see this sight, and not to die. Alas, too long my wretched life, when I dare not bid my wife to hasten to my side or speak. Alas, why does my heart not break in faith," said he, "whatever betide, wheresoever these ladies ride, that self same way I'll follow them, for life and death I do contemn." He girded up his mantle then, and hung his harp upon his back, and sternly followed on their track, staying for neither stone nor stock. Then rode the ladies in at rock, and Orfeo followed, pausing not. 3 miles or more within the rock he came upon a pleasant plain, as bright as sun on summer's day, smooth and level and wholly green, where neither hill nor dale was seen. And there upon the plain he saw a castle of amazing height, a royal one whose outer wall like crystal glittered clear and bright, and on it stood 100 towers, marvellous forts of mighty power. Straight from the buttresses flew rich gold arches of splendid hue. The vaulting of the roofs was wrought with carved creatures of every sort. Within the spacious presence rooms were built throughout of precious stones. The poorest column one might behold was wholly made of burnished gold, so all that land had endless light, for all the time of darkened night. Precious stones with lustrous shone, as brightly as the noonday sun. No man could tell or reach with thought the sumptuousness that there was wrought. By every sign one might surmise it was the court of paradise. Into this castle went the ladies. Wishing to follow if he might, King Orfeo knocked upon the gate. The ready porter came out straight and asked what business brought him there. I am a minstrel, he declared. If it be to his accord, I come to please this castle's lord with music. And the porter then unbarred the gate and let him in. Once inside he looked about and saw, disposed within the court, a host of people thither brought as being dead, though they were not. Some, though headless, stood erect. From some of them the arms were hacked, and some were pierced from front to back, and some lay bound and raging mad. And some on horse and armour sat, and some were choked while at their food, and some were drowning in a flood, and some were withered up by fire. Wives lay there in labour bed, some raving mad, and others dead. And also many others lay, as if asleep at height of day. Like that they had been snatched away, and taken there by fairy riders. There he saw his own dear life, the lady Eurydice, his wife. Asleep beneath an orchard tree, he knew by her clothes that it was she. And having seen these marvels all, he went into the royal hall, and there he saw a seemly sight. Upon a dais serenely bright, there sat the king, the master there, and the queen most sweet and fair. The crowns their clothing shone so bright, his eyes could hardly stand their light. When he had looked on everything, he kneeled down before the king and said, If, Lord, your will it be, you shall hear my minstrelsy. Minstrelsy. It's a funny word. The king replied, What man are you to come here now? For neither I, nor any of my retinue, have ever asked or sent for you. And since the time my reign began, if ever I found a reckless man who dared to visit us, I then promptly sent for him again. My lord, believe me well, said he, and poor minstrel is all you see. And sir, it is the way with us to call at many a noble house. And though unwelcome we may be, yet must we offer our minstrelsy. Then down he sat before the king, and took his tuneful harp in hand, and skilfully he set the strings, and plucked from them such heavenly airs, that everybody who was there about the palace came to hear, and lay before the harpist's feet. They thought his melody so sweet. The king, attentive, sitting still, listened with his utmost will. The music brought enjoyment keen to him and to his gracious queen. Now, when his harping reached its end, then to Orfeo said the king, Your playing minstrel I commend, where you may ask for anything, and you shall have your whole request, so speak it, put it to the test. Said he, Then give me of your grace that lady there, of fairest face, who sleeps beneath the orchard tree. No, said the king, that shall not be. You'd make an ill-assorted pair, for you are lank and beggarly, and she is spotless, bright and fair. Therefore it would be villainy to see her in your company, said Orfeo, most noble king. Yet still more villainous a thing to hear your mouth speak out a lie. For since you did not specify what I should ask, I must receive, and to your promise you must cleave. Replied the king, Since that is so, then take her by the hand and go, have joy of her in everything. Orfeo knelt and thanked the king. He took fair Eurydice by the hand, and with her swiftly left the land, by the self-same road that he had come. Long ways they journeyed from the place, and came to Winchester, his home. There no man recognised his face, but fearing that he might be known, he did not dare to make his way beyond the outskirts of the town, but in a narrow billet lay, took lodgings with a beggar man, both for himself and for his wife, as minstrel folk of lowly life. He asked what tidings in the land, what ruler held it in his hand, and that poor beggar in his cot gave all the news and stinted not, how their queen 10 years before was snatched away by fairy power, and how their king went off alone, an exile in a land unknown, and how the steward ruled as king and told him many another thing. The morrow, at mid-morning tide, he made his wife remain behind, and borrowing the beggar's rags, he slung his harp upon his back, went into the city's ways, showing himself to people's gaze. Earls and barons bold and grim, townsmen and ladies looked on him. Look, what fellow is that, they said. How long his hair hangs from his head. His beard reaches to his knee. He is as withered as a tree. And as he walked about the street, his own high steward he chanced to meet, to whom he called with a piercing cry, Have mercy on me, steward, I am a harper of a heathen nation. Help me in my desolation. The steward said, Come with me, come. Of what I have you shall have some. I welcome all good harpers here, for Orpheus' sake, who held them dear. The steward sat at the castle board, and round him many a noble lord. Trumpeters and tabors, many harpers, fiddlers, were making music one and all, while Orpheo, motionless in hall, listened. When they all were still, he loudly tuned his harp with skill, played on it the sweetest air that ever mortal had heard with ear. The sound delighted each man there. The steward looked with searching eyes, at once the harp he recognised. Minstrel, by your life I vow, said he, that you shall tell me now where you got this harp and how. My lord, he said, in lands unknown, wandering, a waste alone, I found there in a dip remains of one who had been rent by lions and torn by teeth, wolfish and sharp. Beside him there I found this harp. That is quite 10 years ago. Oh, said the steward, what a woe! That was my lord, Sir Orfeo. Ah, wretched me, what shall I do? My lord being lost and I forlorn, alas, that ever was I born. That such hard fate should be ordained, and such foul death should be his end. Then down he fell and lay as dead. Barons raised him up and said, Such was the course of destiny, for death there is no remedy. King Orfeo could tell by then his steward was a faithful man, who loved him as he ought to do, so standing up for all to view, he said, Sir steward, hear this thing. If I were Orfeo the king, and had endured great suffering in barren wastes for many a day, and had won my queen away from fairyland, and safe and sound, had brought her to the city bounds, and lodged that queen of noble grace in a lowly beggar's place, and come to court in guile and stealth, and marked by royalty or wealth, to put your fealty to the proof, and found as I now do such truth, the reason would you have to repent, and certainly, in any event, you should be king, my days being spent. Had you hailed my death, no doubt at once you would have been cast out. And all the company perceived that he was Orfeo indeed. The steward gazed at him and knew, leapt up and overthrew the board, and fell before his king the lord. So did every noble there, and with one voice they all declared in gladness that his life was spared. You are our lord, sir, and our king. They led him to a room of speed, and bathed him there, and shaved his beard, and robed him as a king indeed. And afterwards they went and brought the queen with lofty pomp to court, a very kind of minstrelsy. Keeping that word on. Lord, what mighty melody, for very gladness swept them they, to see them come safe home again. Now is Orfeo crowned anew, and Eurydice, his own queen too, and when their long lives reached their end, the steward was king and ruled the land. Later, Breton harpers heard how this marvel had occurred, made of it a pleasing lay, gave to it the name of the king, so Orfeo is called today, fine is the lay and sweet to sing. Thus did Orfeo quit his care, God grant that all of us so fair. Marvellous. And that is Sir Orpheus. Quite a quick little book, but I thought that was fascinating. Really, I do like the Breton lace. There's a lot of Marie de France. She does some good lace. She might even do Orpheus actually. I'm not sure. I think I read them all actually. Maybe not all. But yeah, that was bloody marvellous, if I do say so myself. I'm gonna put that back, but yeah. Hopefully you're asleep so you're not hearing this. But if you're not, thanks for watching. And I'll see you all next time. Oh, gee, my stomach. Right, anyway.